The Martinez family stood outside the crumbling brick building on Franklin Avenue. 12-year-old Sophia wrinkled her nose at the peeling paint and broken windows. Her dad, Miguel, had bought this old social club with his life savings. It was supposed to be their fresh start. Sophia wasn't so sure anymore. "It's going to be beautiful," her mom, Rosa, said brightly. She squeezed Sophia's shoulder and smiled. "Just imagine it. Our very own restaurant. We'll serve your abuela's recipes. People will come from all over Brooklyn." Sophia wanted to believe her, but the building looked ready to fall down. Sophia's little brother, Danny, kicked at loose bricks near the entrance. He was only 8 and thought everything was an adventure. "Can I have my own room upstairs?" he asked. Their dad laughed and ruffled his hair. "We'll see, mijo. First, we need to make this place safe to live in." The heavy metal door groaned as Miguel pushed it open. Dust particles danced in the sunlight streaming through dirty windows. Old chairs sat stacked in corners. Faded photographs hung crooked on yellowed walls. The air smelled musty and forgotten. Sophia sneezed twice and covered her nose with her sleeve. "The building inspector said the structure is solid," Miguel announced, walking through the main room. He knocked on walls and tested floorboards. "We just need new paint, new floors, and updated electrical. Maybe fix that back wall." He pointed to a wall that looked darker than the others. Nobody knew this wall held a secret. 2 weeks later, the family began their renovation. Miguel hired his friend Carlos, a construction worker, to help. They started by ripping out old carpet and tearing down damaged wood panels. Sophia and Danny's job was clearing out trash and old furniture. It was hard, dirty work that left them exhausted. Sophia found interesting things while cleaning. Old baseball cards from the 1980s, faded newspaper clippings about Brooklyn Dodgers games, a cracked bowling trophy with someone else's name on it. "This place has so many stories," she told her mother. Rosa smiled and said, "Now it will have our story too." On the third day, Carlos brought his sledgehammer to the back wall. "This wall isn't on the original blueprints," he told Miguel. He tapped it with his hammer and frowned. "Sounds hollow. Might be water damage behind it. We should check it out before we paint." Miguel nodded and grabbed another sledgehammer from his toolbox. The first swing sent cracks, spider webbing across the old plaster. Dust exploded into the air, making everyone cough. The second swing broke through completely. Carlos and Miguel peered into the darkness behind the wall. They couldn't believe what their flashlights revealed. Their faces went pale as ghosts in the dim light. "Rosa!" Miguel called out shakily. His voice sounded strange. "Take the kids outside. Right now. Don't ask questions." Sophia's heart began racing. She'd never heard her father sound so scared. What could possibly be behind that wall? Her mother grabbed Danny's hand and rushed them toward the door, glancing back nervously. Sophia couldn't stand the suspense. She snuck back to the doorway and peeked inside. Her parents and Carlos stood frozen, staring at the broken wall. Even from across the room, Sophia could see bundles of something inside the hollow space. Green bundles. Lots and lots of them. Then she realized what they were looking at. Money. Stacks and stacks of cash, wrapped in plastic and rubber bands. Some bundles had turned yellow with age. Others looked newer. They filled the entire hidden space from floor to ceiling. Sophia gasped, and her mother spun around. "Sophia, I told you to wait outside." But Rosa didn't sound angry. She sounded terrified. "How much is there?" Carlos whispered, stepping closer to the wall. Miguel shook his head slowly. "I don't know. Maybe hundreds of thousands. Maybe more." He ran his hand through his hair. "This is bad. This is really bad. Nobody hides money like this unless it's from something illegal. His hands were shaking as he spoke. Danny pushed past Sophia into the room. "Wow! We're rich!" he shouted, jumping up and down. Miguel quickly put his hand over Danny's mouth. "Quiet, mijo. This isn't our money. We can't keep it. Do you understand?" Danny's excited smile faded. He nodded slowly, looking confused and disappointed at the same time. Carlos pulled out one bundle and examined it carefully. "These bills are old. 1980s mostly. This money has been here a long time." He looked at Miguel seriously. "You know what this building used to be, right? Back in the day?" Miguel nodded grimly. Everyone in Brooklyn knew the neighborhood's history. Some secrets never really stayed buried forever. That evening, Miguel sat his family down at their apartment. He explained that their new building had a dark history. In the 1980s, it was a social club, but it wasn't just for playing cards and drinking coffee. Certain people used it for business, illegal business, the kind that made people disappear if they talked. The Gambino family controlled this neighborhood back then, Miguel said quietly. Sophia had heard that name before in movies. Bad guys, gangsters. They used clubs like ours as meeting places. They did business there, hid things there. He looked at his children seriously. That money probably belongs to them, or belonged to them 40 years ago. Rosa bit her lip nervously. "What do we do? If we call the police, will they think we're involved? Will they take our building?" Miguel didn't have good answers. They'd saved for 10 years to buy this place. Their dream was finally coming true. But this discovery could destroy everything before they even started. Sophia spoke up bravely. "We have to tell someone. It's the right thing to do." Her parents looked at her with proud but worried eyes. Danny nodded in agreement. "Yeah, it's not our money. Finders keepers doesn't work with this much cash, right?" Despite the tension, Miguel smiled a little at his son's logic. Carlos called later that night with more concerning news. He'd asked his uncle, who'd lived in the neighborhood forever. The old social club was famous in certain circles. Important people met there. Money changed hands. The walls supposedly held more than just secrets. They held fortunes. And people who looked for those fortunes sometimes never came home. The next morning, Miguel called the police. 2 detectives arrived within an hour. Detective Johnson was tall and serious. Detective Williams was shorter and smiled more, but her eyes missed nothing. They examined the wall carefully, taking photos and notes. They asked questions about how the family found the money and who else knew about it. "You did the right thing calling us," Detective Johnson said. He pulled out his radio and called for backup. "This is a significant discovery. We'll need specialists to process the scene." Sophia watched nervously as more police arrived. Crime scene investigators in white suits began documenting everything. Neighbors gathered outside, whispering and pointing at the building. Detective Williams sat down with the family. "The money will be seized as evidence. We'll investigate its origins. If it's connected to criminal activity and nobody claims it legally, it goes to the city." Rosa's face fell. "So, we get nothing? Even though it was in our building?" The detective's expression softened with sympathy. "There's something called the abandoned property law," Detective Williams explained. "If the money isn't claimed after a certain period, and if it's deemed proceeds from crime that can't be returned, you might be entitled to a finder's fee. But I can't make promises. The legal process takes time." Miguel squeezed Rosa's hand. They'd done the right thing, even if it cost them. Hours later, investigators had removed all the money. They counted it in front of witnesses. $2.5 million in cash. Sophia couldn't even imagine that much money. The detectives told them not to discuss the discovery with anyone. The investigation would take months, maybe years. The Martinez family was left with an empty hole in their wall and an uncertain future ahead. News traveled fast in Brooklyn, despite the police warnings. Within days, everyone knew about the Martinez family's discovery. Reporters called constantly, asking for interviews. Miguel refused them all, but he couldn't stop people from talking. The family felt eyes watching them everywhere they went. It made Sophia's skin crawl with uneasiness. Strange things started happening. A black car parked across from their apartment for 3 nights straight. Nobody got out, but someone inside watched their windows. Miguel called the police. By the time officers arrived, the car was gone. Probably nothing, the responding officer said, but his tone suggested he didn't believe his own words at all. Someone broke into their building one night. The lock on the back door was smashed. Nothing was stolen because there was nothing to steal yet. But whoever came inside tore apart the wall where the money had been. They left tools and crowbars behind. Miguel installed security cameras the next day, his hands working quickly despite his fear. At school, kids treated Sophia differently. Some thought she was rich now. Others whispered that her family was in danger. Her best friend, Maya, asked if the rumors were true. Sophia didn't know what to say. "We found something," she admitted quietly. "But it wasn't ours to keep." The police took it. Maya's eyes went wide with curiosity and concern. Detective Williams visited regularly to check on them. "Has anyone approached you? Asked questions about the money? Made threats?" Each time Miguel said no, but the detective didn't look convinced. She gave Miguel her personal cell phone number. "Call me immediately if anything happens, day or night. Don't hesitate. Your safety is our priority now." Her serious tone frightened the entire family badly. One rainy afternoon, an old man appeared at the building. He wore an expensive suit despite his age. His silver hair was neatly combed. He knocked politely on the door frame. Miguel was working inside, installing new drywall. He turned around, surprised to see anyone there. The old man's smile seemed friendly, but his eyes were sharp and calculating. "Mr. Martinez." "My name is Anthony Russo," the man said, extending his hand. Miguel shook it cautiously. "I used to come to this club a long time ago. Heard you're fixing it up. Mind if I look around? For old time's sake?" Something about his tone made Miguel nervous, but he couldn't think of a reason to say no. Mr. Russo walked slowly through the space, touching walls and looking at corners. "I spent many evenings here, playing cards, talking with friends. Those were different times." He stopped at the repaired wall where the money had been. "I heard you found something interesting. The whole neighborhood is talking about your unexpected discovery." His voice remained casual, but Miguel felt danger in the air. "The police took everything," Miguel said carefully. "We don't have anything here. Just an old building we're trying to restore." Mr. Russo nodded slowly. Of course. You did the right thing. Very honest." He pulled out a business card. "But if you remember anything else you found, or if you need help with anything, call me. I know people. I can solve problems." After Mr. Russo left, Miguel immediately called Detective Williams. She arrived quickly with Detective Johnson. Miguel described the visitor and showed them the business card. The detectives exchanged worried glances. "Anthony Russo," Johnson said grimly. "That's Big Tony's son." The Russo family was connected to the Gambinos back in the day. "You need to be very careful now, Mr. Martinez. Very careful indeed." The police assigned an officer to patrol past the Martinez home and building regularly. Miguel thought about giving up on the project. Maybe they should sell the building and move away. Start over somewhere else. But Rosa refused. "We won't let fear steal our dreams. We've worked too hard. This is our future. We'll see it through together." Sofia tried to be brave like her mother, but she had nightmares about dangerous men breaking into their apartment. At school, she struggled to concentrate. Her grades dropped. Her teacher, Mrs. Chen, pulled her aside one day. "Is everything okay at home, Sofia? You seem distracted, worried about something." Sofia wanted to tell her everything, but remembered her father's warnings about staying quiet. Danny handled things differently. He drew pictures of superheroes protecting their building. He told Sofia that he would fight anyone who tried to hurt their family. His innocent bravery made Sofia want to cry. He was too young to understand the real danger. She felt responsible for protecting him, even though she was scared herself. Big sisters had to be strong. One evening, Detective Williams came by with better news. "We've traced the money's origins. It's definitely connected to Gambino operations from the 1980s. Specifically, a gambling and loan shark operation they ran. The statute of limitations has passed for prosecution. Nobody can legally claim the money now. It's abandoned property, which means the finder's law applies." The family held their breath as the detective continued. "The city is awarding you a 30% finder's fee. That's $750,000. After taxes, you'll have about half that. It's not the full amount, but it's substantial, enough to complete your renovation and more." Rosa burst into tears. Miguel hugged her tight. Sofia and Danny jumped up and down, forgetting their fear for a moment. But Detective Williams's expression remained serious. "The money won't be released for another 90 days. That's the waiting period. And I have to be honest, the Russo family might try to claim they have a right to it. They can't win legally, but they might try to pressure you. You need to decide if this fight is worth it to you and your family's safety." That night, the family had a long discussion. Miguel wanted to walk away from the money. It wasn't worth risking their lives. Rosa disagreed. "If we give in to threats and fear, we lose anyway. We lose our dignity, our self-respect. I want our children to see us stand up for what's right." Sofia and Danny voted to stay and fight for what was legally theirs. The next day, Carlos came by with surprising support. He'd told his construction crew about the situation. A dozen workers showed up, offering to help finish the renovation for free. "You stood up to those guys." "That takes guts," one worker said. "This neighborhood needs good people like you. We've got your back." Miguel felt tears in his eyes, touched by their generosity and kindness. Work on the building accelerated. New floors went down. Fresh paint went up. The kitchen equipment arrived. Sofia and Danny helped their mother design the menu. They would serve Puerto Rican food like their grandmother made. Pernil, arroz con gandules, tostones, flan. Sofia could almost smell the cooking. Their dream was becoming real, despite all the obstacles and frightening challenges. Mr. Russo returned one more time, but this time, he found not just Miguel, but a dozen construction workers, Detective Williams, and a police car parked outside. He looked at the scene and nodded slowly. "I see you have friends, Mr. Martinez." "That's good. That's very good." He turned and walked away. Nobody ever saw him at the building again after that day. 6 months later, Rosa's kitchen opened its doors. The old social club had been transformed completely. Bright colors covered the walls. New tables and chairs filled the dining room. The kitchen gleamed with stainless steel equipment. The smell of garlic, spices, and roasting pork filled the air. A line of customers stretched around the block before they even officially opened for business. Sophia wore her best dress and helped seat customers. Danny handed out menus with pride. Miguel worked the kitchen alongside Rosa, cooking with joy and passion. The finder's fee had paid for everything. They even had money left over for college savings. But more than the money, they had something more valuable. They had proven they could face fear and win. Detective Williams came for dinner on opening night. She brought Detective Johnson and several other officers. "Best arroz con gandules I've ever had," Johnson declared, cleaning his plate. Williams smiled at the family. "You did good. You did really good. Not everyone would have made the choices you made. Brooklyn is lucky to have you here in this neighborhood." Mayor Adams himself sent a congratulatory letter that Miguel framed and hung on the wall. Local newspapers wrote articles about the family's journey. Not about the money, but about their courage and determination. Other small business owners came by, inspired by their story. The old social club's dark past was finally replaced with something bright, hopeful, and delicious for everyone to enjoy together. As Sophia served food that evening, she thought about everything they'd been through. The fear, the pressure, the sleepless nights. But they'd stuck together as a family. They'd done the right thing even when it was hard. They'd turned something bad from the past into something good for the future. She smiled, feeling proud of her parents and herself. The restaurant thrived. Word spread about Rosa's cooking. Reviews praised the authentic flavors and the family's inspiring story. Regular customers became friends. The Martinez family had done more than renovate a building. They'd helped renovate a neighborhood. They showed that honesty and courage could win. And every time Sophia walked through those doors, she remembered what they'd overcome together. Their fresh start had finally, truly, wonderfully begun at last.